Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to day 65 of the Free to Hope Morning Recovery Conversation with Edwina B. That's me, y'all. Using the 12 steps adopted by Alcoholics Anonymous over 80 plus years ago. I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud and humble member for over 30 plus years. And if it's God's will that He wake me up on February the 23rd of 2021 and breathe life into me, we will be celebrating 31 years, one day at a time, which is why I am qualified to sit before you, having contracted and surviving COVID-19 with 7 other family members. And applying these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature will help all of us around the world simultaneously stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. Therefore, we need to give our Creator, who breathed life into you this morning, who breathed life into me this morning, who woke you up this morning, who woke me up this morning, because God uses broken, wounded, and shattered people like me and you to rescue wounded, shattered, and broken people like me and like you. So therefore, we want to give Him homage. We want to give Him acknowledgement, because He and only He knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this COVID-19. We also want to give 30 seconds of silence to those who have transitioned from COVID-19, those who are right now on the borderline of death of COVID-19, those who are left behind as a result of losing loved ones to COVID-19, those who are intervening on behalf of those with COVID-19, jeopardizing their lives and the lives of their loved ones, those who are still defiant, who are still rebellious, who are still in disbelief that this hoax is real. This COVID-19 is real, thinks it's a hoax. We want to even give a moment of silence for them as well. And we want to, in essence, give homage and give 30 seconds of silence to the entire human race. Because in our 12-step program, they say all human beings are ill to some extent, and all human beings can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step program. As Dr. Scott T. Ellison so eloquently wrote in his article, Psychology Today, back in March the 31st of 2020. But first, we must, like we do in our 12-step program, give a moment, 30 seconds of silence to give homage to our Creator and give homage to the human race. Join me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of those who can't say thank you, those who refuse to say thank you, those who are unwilling to say thank you, I want to speak on their behalf and say thank you. There, by the grace of God, there go I. There, by the grace of God, there go you. There, by the grace of God, go your family. There, by the grace of God, go my family. And so with that, we acknowledge our Creator while we as a world is experiencing this knee-bowing experience. But there is a solution, and we have found them, in the 12 steps being applied to COVID-19. These 12 steps are spiritual in nature, not medical, not religious, although they may be our partners, but we must learn how to combat and stop the perpetuation of this COVID-19 from a spiritual angle for this physical condition. And that's why I know I was prepared to sit before you as a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, 30 plus years, and a survivor of COVID-19. And as my shirt, if you can see it, I'm going to sit up. It says, I don't look like what I've been through. Did you hear that? I don't look like what I've been through. And if you saw my opening page, you will see back on December the 3rd when I sat before you. And let me bring it up. I stepped before you, and I'll come back. Right? Wait. I want to show you what I am talking about. Just in case you missed the opening. And I want to demonstrate. Look at it, okay? Take a minute to look at it. See? That is me with COVID-19, right? Sweating, teeth out, feeling sickly, achy all over my body. But as a result of this process, I sit before you now, the way I am. And so I just believe in being transparent. I believe in being totally honest, because that's the only way that we can help to eradicate the devastating impact, effects, outcomes, and fatalities of COVID-19. So we also say in our recovery program, some of us must die in order for some of us to live. So those who have lost loved ones to COVID-19, I pray that they embrace these 12 spiritual steps so that they can deal with the if I coulda, woulda, shoulda syndrome, right? And practice the suggestions offered by the CDC. Incorporate the 12 spiritual principles so they can deal with the regret, the remorse, right? The anger, all of that. But they can be done. It can be done if they embrace, apply, and practice the 12 spiritual principles. And so, if you are in the prevention mode of COVID-19, the intervention mode of COVID-19, or the restoration mode of COVID-19, only you can answer that question. Are you being proactive, reactive, inactive, or responsible regarding COVID-19? Which is why these conversations every morning, as I and 7 of my family members experienced this COVID-19 symptoms, right? But for whatever reason, God spared our lives. And I'm hoping I know it's for this purpose, to save one life, to save one family, to save one culture, to save one community, one city, one state, one country. And if we all do this simultaneously around the world, we can stop the devastating impact, effect, outcome, and fatalities of COVID-19. Now, and if you go back, as I said, to December the 3rd, you will see me sitting in front of you, not looking like this. I didn't have a mask on. I didn't have my dentures in, right? Through the 12-step program that I've been practicing for over 30 years, I present myself just the way I am. And right now, you see, I am wearing my mask as a result of learning after being stubborn, rebellious, defiant about being told what to do, not wearing a mask, not washing my hands, going to family gatherings, going out in public. I contributed to contracting COVID-19, and I affected some of my family members. So go back to my podcast of December the 3rd. But if you want to learn how I presented these 12 steps with my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, go back to April the 1st of 2020. Why? Because that's when my creator said, Edwina, even though you were scheduled to go on tour, I had other plans for you. And now that you are in this isolation, quarantine, in this COVID-19 pandemic that only I have control of, the creator, there is something I want you to do. I want you to present these 12 spiritual principles. I sent you an article by Dr. Scott T. Allison to ignite this podcast on April the 1st. And guess what? I have been presenting this information as far back as April the 1st of 2020 regarding this COVID-19. And we are in a new year, in a new month, right? And COVID-19 is kicking butt and taking names. Yes, it is. And we don't know how much longer or how worse it's going to get. But there is a solution. And so I want to present to you what was presented to me in order to engage in action after listening, not hearing, but listening. To me and people in 12-step programs, we believe that listening can generate and should generate action. A change in our behavior, our attitudes, our ideas, our choices, our decisions. And so let me share with you before we continue our discussion on the 5th spiritual principle, number 5, okay? So this is where I was able to get the information, all right? Okay, let me go back to here. Let me remove that. Listen, I tell y'all, I'm about doing the right thing. And I'm going to do the right thing by just taking my time and practicing these principles in all my affairs. And I'm going to practice some patience so I can give you exactly what God has given me so that you too can see what we are doing, why and how. All right, here we go. Okay. Come on now. There it is. All right. So let's try this again. Here we go. Listen. So on March the 31st, I got this article from Stephanie J., a member of my home group in Wilmington, Delaware. And its caption read, How Wisdom of 12-Step Programs Can Get Us Through April. Dr. Allison was talking about the first direction or mandate for us to isolate and to stay in our homes. And he said that if we use the 12 steps, we can get through the month of April. But guess what? It's almost a year later, and the numbers are astronomical that are reported, and it's even worse because not all numbers are being recorded. And so his 7 points that he uses from the Al-Anon 12-step program, using these same 12 spiritual principles that I will show you in a couple of seconds. But the 7 points from Al-Anon's perspective and Dr. Allison saying that we collectively as a human race can learn and apply these 7 points to our lives as we deal with this COVID-19 and variants pandemic. All right. So go to Dr. Scott T. Allison in Psychology Today, March the 31st of 2020, to read in detail what these points emphasize over and over again. Well, thank God we do, because in a 12-step program, all students are not ready at the same time. All students are not ready to go to the next level at the same time. So therefore, repetition is crucial in our 12-step work. And it's crucial as we share this information regarding COVID-19, because we are many and varied, in the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we are many and varied in this COVID-19 pandemic. And so repetition is so important. All right. So let's go to our next slide, and we will bring you the 12 steps so that you can follow them, learn about them, and research them on your own. And so we have here the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, again, being customized and created back in the 1930s. But for over 80 plus years, they have been successful in keeping people like me and millions of others sober one day at a time in order to help somebody else. And that's why it's the free to hope. From recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally using these 12 recovery spiritual principles. And we are going to change the area of alcohol, gambling, drugs, work, sex, lust, all of those other 12-step program that utilizes these same 12 spiritual principles. But this time we are going to apply it to COVID-19. Therefore, step 1 says we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And sanity only means soundness of mind regarding COVID-19. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and for us, right? Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him regarding COVID-19. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves regarding COVID-19. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, which is the step we've been on for the last 4 days, including today. And we'll probably be on it the rest of the week. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character regarding COVID-19. And let's go to the 7 remaining steps, right? They are 7. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all regarding COVID-19. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you, regarding COVID-19. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it regarding COVID-19. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out regarding COVID-19. And finally, 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And so for the past 30 plus years, that's what I've been doing. However, I must tell you the truth that I did not apply these principles with all that experience to COVID-19, which is why I know I contributed to contracting it and I affected other family members. And as a result of God blessing me and my family members, you better believe I have added to my recovery or my addiction using these 12 steps from alcohol and drugs and all the associated behaviors, attitudes and ideas, choices and decisions to COVID-19 now, which is why I am sitting before you so that you don't have to go through what I and others have gone through. If you are willing to listen and not just hear. and not be stubborn, defiant, rebellious. Have that feeling of being invincible. What happened to you? What happened to me? But guess what? And not just following the suggestions of the 12 steps and the suggestions of the CDC, but getting vaccinated. Yes, getting vaccinated. And so as a result of going through COVID-19, the symptoms that I had and my 2-year-old 6 members were asymptomatic. Isn't that something, right? And so as a result of doing my research, doing my homework, and asking questions, yes, I did take the vaccination shot. I did it on Saturday. So let me see if I can bring that up. Hold on one second. I know some of y'all may be from Missouri, right? And I understand that, but I want to be able to show you that as a result of contracting COVID-19, that I can be used as an attraction to other people to let you know that we can benefit from what they are suggesting and what they are advising us to do. So let me see if I can bring this up. So that's not what I want. And like I told y'all, I have patience today because I want to show you that I did take the shot. And it's so interesting. My granddaughter pulled off my Band-Aid yesterday, and she said, "Oh, Grandma, you got a boo-boo." I said, "Yes, it's a boo-boo, but more importantly, it is something that is designed to decrease the severity of COVID-19 and its symptoms." So I can't find it at this second, but you better believe I'm going to keep looking and make sure that I get it to you before this hour is out. So let's go back to what we're talking about today, which is recovery principle number 5. And like anything else, we are going to continue the preparation and the foundation, right, by Jason Waller. So that was the other. Oh, let's take a drink, a coffee, right? I can breathe. I can smell. I can taste. I can touch, I can feel. Y'all hold on one second. I can touch, I can feel, but more importantly, I can listen. And I pray that you listen as well. Okay, so Jason Waller, JASON WAHLER, is the template and the overview and the synopsis that I use as he breaks down each of the 12 steps. He applies it to alcohol and drugs, but I changed the area of focus and put it on COVID-19. So we were able, as you saw in the outline of the 12 steps being applied to COVID-19. So now that we're on recovery principle number 5, that it says we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And the exact nature of our wrongs was a result of doing recovery principle number 4, where we made that searching and fearless more inventory and identified our character defects, such as defiance, rebellion, that feeling of being invincible, resentments, anger, all of those character defects, right? And how we reacted or are reacting or feeling and are feeling regarding the devastating impact, outcome, fatalities of COVID-19. So when we did that 4-step inventory, step 5 says, okay, we know that through recovery principle number 1, when we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power, capital P, because he knows the beginning, the middle, and the end, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, soundness of mind regarding our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors regarding COVID-19, as well as our choices and our decisions, right? And then in recovery principle number 3, we made a decision to continue to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him, following the suggestions of the CDC, learning to apply these 12 spiritual principles. So if it's saving my life from drugs and alcohol, then it can save me from COVID-19 as well as my family members if I make that decision on a daily basis, sometimes throughout the day, to turn my will and my life over, being restored to sanity, making the right decisions, knowing that I'm powerless over COVID-19, but there is a solution. It is based on my actions, my behaviors, my attitudes, my ideas, and my choices and decisions. And as I said, in recovery principle number 4, we identified what all those character defects are. And now we are in step 5. We have selecting a person to share our experience, strength, and hope with regarding our inventory that we did. And hopefully they will, no, not hopefully, they will help us get to the exact nature of our wrongs. It's like that iceberg I keep sharing with you. That iceberg that's on top of the water, but we need to go underneath the water to the depths and to the width of where that iceberg was originated. And that's the exact nature that we're going to go through when we do recovery principle number 5 and get into the exact nature of why we're rebellion, why we're resistance, why we are defiant, why we are self-centered, egotistical, prideful, all those things. What is the exact nature? And once we reveal that through this conversation with another human being, God already knows, we already know, but that other person sharing with them our deepest secrets, those things that we were planning to take to the grave, things that we were concealing that needed to be revealed in order to set us free from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. And so the foundation and breaking down the steps by Jason Waller, I found so simplistic. And so before we get to the questions posed by Jason Waller with the resources he collected, interjecting his experience, strength, and hope of applying the principles in his life, right? And I now sit before you, will share my experience, my strength, and my hope during recovery principle number 5. But the foundation before those questions are essential. Okay, so let's see what we've done so far. Okay, we talked about, step 5 of AA is essential to the fundamental change of personality required to overcome this COVID-19 pandemic. And its simplest form, the 5th step is basically a confession of personal wrongdoings and the beginnings of our spiritual house cleaning regarding our attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, decisions regarding COVID-19. Okay. Now, he went through breaking down the step, and the one that we ended with yesterday, it says, after we have selected our person and we made the appointment and all that, this is what's going to happen. So take a deep breath, say a prayer, pocket your pride, and illuminate every twist of character and every dark cranny of your past. In revealing your most distressing memories to another person, your fears, your anxiety, right? Most likely your sponsor, someone you can trust. Be as honest as possible with that person, looking at who you are and how you got there by going back in your inventory as far as you can remember to where those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, decisions were formulated, and what scenario, by whom, what feelings it generated, how it affected you and others, and what part did you play in it. And he goes on to say, be vulnerable and don't hold back. Sharing our inventory with another person who can listen with compassion gives us an opportunity to free our minds and our hearts, and then to open to receive unconditional love. See, I'm not sitting before you because I want to blame you or criticize you for not wearing a mask, not social distancing, not washing your hands, making bad decisions of going to people, places, and things, public events, family. No, I can't judge or criticize you. Why? Because I'm guilty. I'm guilty. And if I don't practice these principles in all my affairs, I yet can I yet can make those bad decisions and those bad choices. That's why it's a one day at a time program, okay? But you will receive, and I hope you are receiving from me, that I am giving you unconditional love. Just like the 12 steps give it to us, right? When they say practice these principles in all our affairs, God, our creator, in our 12-step program says, just do two things. Stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. Well, when I applied to COVID-19, Edwina, stay free from COVID-19 and help another stay free from COVID-19. That's all I want you to do. That's all. Just do those two things. And we can do those two things by learning, embracing, analyzing, dissecting, evaluating how these 12 spiritual principles can create a spiritual transformation that's needed for us to gain spiritual maturity that will produce a psychic change. That's why I wear my mask. If I see you outside, you ain't wearing your mask, first I'm going to say, wear your mask. And you whatever. Then I say, you want one? And then you may say, then I said, you know what? Based on your decision, based on what you just said, I can either engage or I can distance myself. No judgment, no criticism, none of that. I done got so used to wearing the mask. My granddaughter said the other day, Grandma, you in the bed, take that mask off. Unconditional love. Okay, so when we are done, no matter what you've done, no matter what I did, no matter what individuals are going through who contributed to their loved ones not being here because of their bad choices and bad decisions, there is still hope because we are remaining. There are more family members that we can save, even ourselves. All right? And so we're going to go on to the next breakdown, and it says, stop the cycle. How can we stop the cycle? The numbers are still escalating. Yes, more people are being infected. I just shared with you the other day, yesterday, whatever day it was, the Super Bowl. Did you see those thousands of people around the world congregating? No social distancing, no masks, definitely not washing their hands. Ooh, and guess what? The numbers are going to continue to climb. I heard on CNN, there was a place in Mexico, right? 90% of the population, a city in Mexico, 90% of the population have been infected one way, shape, form, or fashion with COVID-19. And also, I also heard on CNN, that's my favorite station, that in Africa, the vaccine from AstraZeneca, right, is ineffective, huh? It's ineffective. And so those millions of vials that they got, they can't use, right? And so that's what I mean by man is limited. Man don't know what's going on with this COVID-19. They are scrambling. But there is something that you and I can do to stop the cycle of this COVID-19, at least within our reach, within our environment, within our home. There is something we can do to stop the cycle of contracting and spreading this COVID-19 pandemic. Yes. And so how does Jason Waller break down the COVID? How does he breaking the cycle regarding alcohol and drugs? And then we're going to replace alcohol and drugs with COVID-19. So let's see what he says. I'm going to read what he says regarding alcohol and drugs, and then we'll come back and dissect and change the area of focus to COVID-19. So, while working step 5, the repetition of the same type of situation and patterns of behavior reveals itself quite obviously. When we do our 4th step, we are going to see that there are some patterns of behavior. There are some situations that keep evolving. There are some triggers that people know to push those buttons, huh? And so the 4th step is really a reference book, right? It gives you information about yourself and how you think, how you react, how you respond, right? Based on people, places, and things, okay? So it reveals itself quite obviously. And when we do step 5, that will be disclosed and shown. He says we begin to focus attention on what is behind the patterns of our addiction and the reasons we act out in the ways that we do. This is a great point in recovery when we can start calling these patterns of behaviors character defects. Destructive behaviors usually reflect underlying character defects, which is the engine that drives most of our off-the-wall actions. Now, let's apply this to COVID-19. While working step 5, the repetition of the same type of situation and patterns of behavior reveals itself quite obviously. So, for me, and contributing to contracting COVID-19 and affecting members of my family, what repetition of situations that are still occurring now that happened then, right? That I see a pattern of destructive behavior. Yes, I told y'all that I was defiant. I was rebellious. I was indignant about you telling me what to do, where I can wear a mask to, how long, and when to wash my hands, who I can go around, who I can't go around. Those patterns of behavior stem way back, right? When I did my inventory, but I didn't apply it to COVID-19. Which is why they say in recovery, it's about progress, not perfection. Now that I'm in recovery of COVID-19, you better believe looking at my behaviors, my decisions, my actions, my choices of how I contributed to contracting COVID-19, I see the pattern. I see the triggers. I see those negative choices, those negative decisions that help me to contract COVID-19 and affect my family members, right? Okay, it says we begin to focus on the attention of what is behind the patterns of our behaviors, attitudes, ideas, decisions, choices regarding COVID-19 and the reasons we act out in the ways that we do. So let me stop right there. My pastor, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock of Canaan Baptist Church, here said, let me hang a nail there. Mm-hmm. Let me hang a nail there. Did you hear what it says? It says we begin to focus the attention on what is behind the patterns of our attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, decisions regarding COVID-19 and the reasons we act out in the ways that we do. There are people who are doing what they listened to. They are wearing their mask. They are washing their hands for 20 seconds or longer. They are social distancing. They are not going out in public places unless it's necessary. They are not engaging in family functions and gatherings. So they are doing the right next thing. And so, compared to those of us who are not, me, what about you? I don't know. But doing this fifth step and doing that fourth step will give us the information as to why, not what's wrong with us, but what happened to us, right? The doctor in Mexico, he said, and it made so much sense. He said, listen, let me take a drink of coffee, right? Because this is deep what he said. Wait. I can breathe. I can smell. I can taste. He said, why is it that we as human beings have the information that says this COVID-19 is similar to a shotgun? Meaning, if you were in front of somebody with a shotgun, getting ready to or threatening to kill you and your loved ones, you would be begging for your life. And theirs too, wouldn't you? Oh, hell yeah. So he said, well, why is it that with COVID-19 that we can change our mindset, our attitude, our perspective, and look at COVID-19 like that shotgun? Ooh, I like tangible experiences. So if COVID-19 was in the form of a shotgun, would you want to protect yourself? And would you want to protect your loved ones? Would you want to protect your friends, your co-workers? Would you want to protect your fellow human being? And the answer would be yes, a resounding yes. See? That's why with the spiritual program, we get to become open-minded after being honest. That's the how of the 12 steps: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, right? And so when it talks about the reasons we act out in the ways that we do, not to say what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. So if that shotgun in the form of COVID-19 is jeopardizing and can cause you your death and the death of your loved ones, will you do what the CDC suggests? Will you take that vaccine shot that decreases the severity of the symptoms should you contract COVID-19? It doesn't prevent you, based on what I read, based on the research, and based on what Dr. Fauci said, and based on what this doctor in Mexico said, it does not prevent you from contracting COVID-19. It decreases the severity of the symptoms as a result of contracting COVID-19. So in December, my body felt like a toothache, my whole body. I could not breathe like this. I breathe like this. I couldn't take a deep breath. I could not breathe. I didn't have the fever, right? But I had the sweats. I felt fatigue compared to others who suffered more severely with the symptoms to the point where they had to be hospitalized. And some ultimately died. God bless them. And so if they are saying, and I am saying to you, I am using these 12 spiritual principles. I am taking the, not suggestions, listen, I'm taking the demands of what the CDC, I'm gonna put demands, they call them suggestions, but hell no, I'm demanding that those who are my loved ones and those who come in contact, listen, put on your mask or step off, right? Wash your hands or whatever. You take, look, no. And so what I understand and what I believe to be true based on my own research, not facts, not myth, right? Not what everybody's saying, like I used to say, they're trying to kill us off and da-da-da-da-da. I'm trying to save my behind and not my face. And so we get to unravel the reasons why we act in the way that we do. Why are you defiant? Why are you rebellious? Why are you in denial? Why? Don't you want to find out? Do you want to be like some of us who have that if I coulda, woulda syndrome as a result of losing their loved ones? You don't have to. By following the suggestions, getting the vaccine that will decrease the severity of the symptoms should you contract COVID-19. You can be a role model to your grandchildren like I am to mine. Yes, they don't go out unless they have to. When they go out, listen, they are masked up as well. We practice hand sanitizing and washing our hands. Yes, we do. Why? Because we didn't before, which is why we contributed to contracting COVID-19. So if I am the leader of this family, these grandchildren over here, when they are in my presence, then I need to set the example. I need to be the attraction. And so that's why we need to find out the reasons why we are so defiant, resistant, egotistical, rebellious, self-centered, selfish. Are you on image time? I learned through the recovery process to take off all those masks and put on the mask that's designed to save my life. Yes. So if you from Missouri, let me show you. Here we go. I'm putting it on again. Nobody in the room but me. But guess what? You watching. So I want to lead by example too. You can hear me, right? I thought so. All right, so let's continue to read on. It says, this is a great point in recovery when we can start calling these patterns of behavior character defects, right? So that's when we do our fourth step and we find out where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were formulated, and what situation by whom, how it affected us, what feelings we had, and what part that we play in it. We now can say they are character defects. And this fifth step will get to the exact nature of those character defects. So destructive behaviors usually reflect underlying character defects, which is the engine that drives most of our off-the-wall actions. Oh my God. Did you hear that? Destructive behaviors usually reflect underlying character defects, which is the engine that drives most of our off-the-wall actions. Now you tell me that doing these 12 spiritual principles is not important. Are you kidding me? We learn the 12 spiritual principles, and once we get that spiritual transformation that Bill W. and Dr. Bob and Dr. Carl Jung discussed, that we as alcoholics need divine intervention, need divine providence. We need a spiritual experience in order to create a spiritual awakening that will produce spiritual maturity to obtain that psychic change so that we can deal with this COVID-19 from a spiritual angle in this physical condition. Oh, man, I love recovery. I tell you, boy. That's why one day at a time, I've been sober, over 30 plus years, coming up on 31 years. And guess what? Until God calls me home one day at a time, I'm going to remain sober. I'm not going to give anything or anybody that much power ever again to make me go back to drinking or drugging, prostituting and all that stuff. And I'm not going to give anything or anybody that much power ever again, for me to contract COVID-19. I know I am limited. I have no control of what other people do, but it's about what I can do, what prevention measures I can put in place for myself and my family members, and I got to leave the outcome to God. Letting go of control, right? But when I do what I'm supposed to do, that's all I can do to the best of my ability. All right? So, it also says here, this is the last part of this session. No, I did it again, section. This very effectively leads us into steps 6 and 7, which we're not on yet, when we begin an in-depth examination of how each one of our defects plays a role in keeping us sick, and then ask God or your higher power to remove them, every single one of them. All right? So, what we discussed so far regarding the foundation and answering the questions posed by Jason Waller, as well as questions that I added as well. Okay, we talked about the foundation, breaking down step 5, and we just went over stopping the cycle. All right. And tomorrow, God willing, he breathed life into us on day 66. We will discuss how Jason Waller break down into action why I should do. See, I could give you a preview of what we're going to discuss, and I will. So this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow and breaking it down. But Jason Waller talks about it from alcohol and drugs angle. But just keep in mind, we're going to change the area of focus to COVID-19. But let me give you what he actually says, okay? Into action, why you should do your 5th step. Why should you do a 5th step? In case the above wasn't enough reasons, you should do it because there are certain damaging memories or beliefs that can only live in the dark, and shining a light on them can banish them for good. An alcoholic leads a double life worthy of an Oscar award most of the time. More so than most people, the alcoholic is an actor who presents the character to the outside world that they want others to see. After completing step 5 of AA, we no longer have to do this. Once we have completed this step, we are able to look the world in the eye, let our fears fall away, and feel at perfect peace and ease on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. But don't just take it from me. Check out what the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous says about working step 5. We will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first, if we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives, trying to avoid this humbling experience. They have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they failed. We think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory, all right, but hung on to some of the worst items and stopped. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story. All right? And so tomorrow, if God breathes life into us and he wakes us up tomorrow, we will be reunited for day 66. And we will go to this last foundation section before we get to the questions posed by Jason Waller and myself. And all I ask is that you answer this question. For this moment, for this hour, for this happy new day, are you going to be in the prevention mode, intervention mode, or restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you going to be proactive, reactive, inactive, or responsible when it comes to COVID-19? So until we meet again, until we are reunited, if it's God's will, remember that we are all in this together. If we are all having this knee-bowing experience regarding COVID-19, there is a solution, and the solutions are in the 12-step program being applied to COVID-19. I want to say be safe, be safe, be safe. And I want to acknowledge my sponsors, Free to Hope, LLC, Divine Light, Inc., and Women Do Hall Transportation Services. But most importantly, I want to thank you just for you watching. You are one of my sponsors. To God be the glory. Please be safe. Let me take this off. Let me come here and let me close out with this. Okay.